We know that millions of people are displaced each year and need assistance. But did you know that in 2022, we have exceeded over 30 million refugees from around the world? This is a crisis that has only been growing in our world, and it's time to ask the tough question. Is there any solution to the global refugee crisis the world is suffering from? Hey there everyone, welcome back to Amuse World. In today's video, we'll be providing some insight into this difficult issue. We'll be diving into the complexities of the refugee crisis and take a look at the causes of the global refugee crisis, the challenges that refugees face, and some potential solutions to help alleviate the suffering. So if you're ready to explore the global refugee crisis and find out more, then stick around. The refugee crisis is not a new one, but the magnitude of the problem has grown substantially in the last decade. In 2022, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, announced that we had exceeded 30 million refugees around the world, an escalation of what was already the highest number of refugees on record. With these starting numbers in mind, one can only imagine what the situation may look like in 2023. So what are the largest refugee crises? The refugee crisis has become an increasingly global issue, with an estimated 68.5 million people around the world being displaced in 2022. In two African countries, Eritrea and the Central African Republic, the crisis has reached a critical level as violence and political instability have caused nearly 14% and 738,000 people respectively to be displaced from their homes. In Somalia, the situation is dire, with the number of refugees decreasing from 986,000 to 799,000 in the last 5 years, yet still at risk of famine. In Sudan, 844,000 people have been displaced, and the country is both a host and a producer of refugees. The effects of these crises are devastating, leaving millions of people without homes, food, and security. Those who can get out of the situations they find themselves in often find themselves in host countries with limited resources and facing further challenges in adapting to a new way of life. Fortunately, there are organizations such as Concern that are providing aid and assistance to refugees both in their home countries as well as in host countries. Through their Cash Consortium program, over $16 million have been given to 300,000 people, providing them with the autonomy and dignity of being able to prioritize their own financial needs. The Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, is no stranger to humanitarian crisis and displacement. Currently, DRC is home to over 909,000 refugees, an increase of 45,000 compared to last year. It is also a large host community for refugees from neighboring countries. In response, Concern has been responding to the DRC crisis for over 25 years, with emergency response among our top priorities. Meanwhile, over 4 million South Sudanese have been forced from their homes, with 2.3 million of those having to leave the country entirely. This makes South Sudan one of the world's largest refugee crises, one that entered its 10th year last month. Here, Concern has been in South Sudan since it gained independence in 2011, and works to address the ongoing humanitarian needs and the pressure generated by widespread displacement. Finally, over 1.1 million Rohingya refugees have fled ongoing violence in Myanmar's Rakhine state and are now living in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. The humanitarian crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Myanmar is far from over, and the international community must continue to work together to address the needs of those affected. The ongoing humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan is a tragedy that has been unfolding for decades. It is estimated that over 2 million Afghans are refugees, having been forced out of their homes by conflict and displacement. Nearly 9 out of every 10 Afghan refugees are hosted in neighboring countries, particularly Pakistan and Iran. Compounding the problem are the limited resources of the communities, governments, and humanitarian actors to withstand the impact of repeated natural disasters like floods, landslides, earthquakes, and drought. In February 2022, The ongoing conflict in Ukraine led to a full humanitarian crisis, with an estimated 5.4 million refugees. This number is more than 16% of the global refugee population and exceeds the UNHCR's initial estimates. In response, Concern shifted its operations to Ukraine, working with local partners to address the pressing needs of displaced individuals. Causes and solution to the global refugee crisis. The causes of these refugee crises are complex and varied, but the most common factor is conflict. War, civil unrest, and persecution are the most common triggers of displacement. Many of these conflicts have been ongoing for years and have caused millions of people to flee their homes in search of safety. Other causes of displacement include natural disasters, poverty, and climate change. The global refugee crisis is a complex and challenging problem that requires an urgent response. The international community must take action to provide assistance and protection to those who have been forced to flee their homes. This includes finding durable solutions, such as voluntary repatriation, resettlement, and integration, that will enable refugees to rebuild their lives in safety and dignity. We hope that you've gained some insight into the difficulties faced by refugees and the solutions that are available to help them. The refugee crisis is a complex and difficult issue, but with the right knowledge and resources, we can work together to make a difference. So let's use our collective power to create positive change. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and share this video if you found it informative and helpful.